All these clones, we the original.
So, how do I start? Welcome to another episode of Erryting Kool. We're in a very familiar place. You know, we've been here before. The last time we was here, it was a very powerful pod, but this is going to be, I think, even super powerful. So today I have joining with me my good friend Carson Coleman. Carson, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay. Well, we know who the true guest of honor is today. We have Mr. Rodney Moncur. How you doing, Senator?
Well, I'm fine, and I thank you for this invitation.
Yeah. So this episode, we are brought to you by Chosen Few Productions International, who helps us with producing the show, as well as we have some assistance today from Sorry Lace Productions. And then also we got coffee donated by Coffee Tea Cafe on Farrington Road, and which I really love that shop. I've been going there probably almost every week since about probably 5-6 weeks ago. So, shout out Coffee Tea, shout out Sorry Late, shout out Chosen Few Productions. So let's get into it. You have any first? You want to ask? What you want to ask? Let me let you get it out there. What you want to ask?
No, I mean, I'll ask something later on. The show.
All right.
Hopefully, by the end of this, you come to agreement with all Coleman's, right?
Okay.
So, Mr. Moncur, so tell me, take us through, growing up in Black Village. I never knew there was a place in Nassau called Black Village until I started watching your show. So, tell us about growing up in Black Village and how you got into, coming up as a young man and getting into activism, and then and we'll just take it from there.
Well, Black Village is located geographically in the Bainstown community. The African name for Black Village is Counter Buta.
Yes.
And so that is what the African name is for the neighborhood that I live in. And it was in the late 60s, early 70s that a number of young men became politically conscious, but yet lack an appreciation for the African name, Counter Buta. And in their revolutionary fervor, they renamed the community Black Village. That having done, I ensure the perpetuation of the name. I'm not taking full credit for it, but I'm saying that to the extent that I was able to, I ensure the perpetuation of the new revolutionary name, Black Village, notwithstanding that I never forgot the African name, Counter Buta. And the older people of Bainstown, they always refer to us as the Counter Buta people. And these were many people who were short, almost midget size. A lot of people who did jumping dance. So you're talking about a period of the 50s, 60s, early 70s, lack of street lights, but culturally, people love gathering and doing jumping dance. So jumping dance, you catch a little fire, you get your goatskin drum, and you dance. Man take one and satisfy, woman take two, you take the boom. And you dance up and down and so forth.
Okay.
So,
Fun fact.
so that's the name. And my maternal family, they moved into the Bainstown area in the latter part of the late 30s, early 40s, and by 1946, my paternal grandparents, the late John Cox and Evelyn Clark Cox, they got a Crown grant a lot in the community.
Okay.
So we're talking about November 13, 1946, and then by November 30th, 1956, I was born. So,
Interesting.
I came from a family on my mother's side that was extremely political.
Okay.
My grandparents were members and supporters of the United Bohemian Party,
Yes.
UBP.
Hmm.
And so, as a young child, I attended many UBP conventions. And so, coming from a family that was extremely political, well, then I was indoctrinated by their political position. And as the years evolved, I then established my own political ideology. Thus, looking at the country, not being pleased with many of the things that I saw, I then sought to participate in political activism. And the first time that I took to the streets, I joined the late Member of Parliament for the Coconut Grove constituency, as it was known, the late Edmund Spencer Moxie, who I think in 1974 had organized a march from then Jumbe Village, which is now located where the National Insurance main office is on
Okay.
Newell Road.
Mhm.
That was a cultural center that
Interesting.
Moxie had established. Him and Pindon had a series of clashes, and one of Pindon's final acts was the assault on the cultural center, razing it to the ground. And there was a museum which Edmund Moxie had spearheaded, where thousands of students joined in sponsoring the construction of this auditory museum. So in the process, all of that was razed to the ground. Well, by 1974, Edmund Moxie, who was then the Member of Parliament for Coconut Grove and the PLP representative, organized a march from Jumbe Village to Bay Street in protest of what he called the economic, social, and cultural plight of the masses. Once he announced it, I then announced that since he will be passing Black Village, because he would have been coming from Jumbe Village, heading north along Blue Hill Road, that me and my colleagues, or better description, me and my boys, will be waiting and we will join him.
Okay.
And so as he marched, we had our placards, we joined the march, and we headed to Bay Street, where there was this major protest against Pinling and the PLP, and as Edmund Moxie described it, the economic plight, the economic, the social, the cultural plight of the masses. So we protest. That then launched my first march on the streets of New Providence, and I've not stopped marching since on various social, political, and economic issues.
Okay. So that brings more clarity to me where, you always would say you're not as well educated as some of the top politicians, but you're as politically savvy.
I'm
enough.
more educated than all of them.
Yeah. No, I mean like
I
going to
understand.
school and
I'm more educated than all of them.
yeah. So
Don't explain.
all right. So that just doing the general research, coming across some of your feats whether it be he was protesting at R.M. Bailey for I think for poor classroom
In
conditions.
1983, God Sent Rain and C.C. Sweeting leak. Hole was in the floor and the teacher fell through.
Wow.
The students, as they passed Black Village, they were complaining. And I heard their complaints as they passed my house. And so, the revolutionary is supposed to move then to the center stage. The center stage was C.C. Sweeting. I went, and I, having been a former student, I looked and I saw what the problem was, and immediately I called a meeting of the students. One student showed up at the meeting. A lecturer at the College of the Bahamas, who was an allied upon hearing that there was only one student showed up, he told the chief ideologist in my group that it will not work. And I told him, well, I disagreed. One student came, so it will work. And so we were able to identify who the principal leaders of C.C. Sweeting were, and among them was Dennis Dames, the younger brother of National Security Minister Marvin Dames. And then we organized, and on the 3rd of February 1983, we set a march from C.C. Sweeting, closed down the school, and marched to the Parliament.
That's interesting.
1 month later, conditions had not improved, and we decided this time, yes sir, we will close down every school. But we then identified Aaron Bailey, a Leonard Archer, who was the former principal of C.C. Sweeting when it opened in 1971. We liaised with him, and we liaised with the student leadership. And in April of '83, as Dennis Dames marched towards Parliament, Aaron Bailey took to the streets.
Okay.
And they marched to Parliament. And then we took a decision shortly thereafterward that we will march to each high school and bring them into the streets. Well, a C.C. Sweeting student marched towards A.F. Adderley Pending Center, the riot squad, that scattered them. So, and they locked down A.F. Adderley, so we were not able to get them out. Yeah, go ahead.
So with that, it's like, okay, it seems it's almost like you was born to be a revolutionary. Because it's like, you started from you was bred into this political family, so you was somewhat indoctrinated from young.
Yeah.
And then you participated and learned through your younger years. And then even until you're 60 plus and you're still, fighting, continue fighting for the freedoms of people, people
But
that
we have encouraged young people. It is in your youth that you are strong.
Yeah.
And so we have to encourage young people that if they think that something is not proper or good taking place in the country, they have to think about it, meet and discuss it, and when the meeting is over, there must be a resolution, be it resolved, that we shall march to Bay Street in protest. One of the problems in the country is there's a lot of idle talk, a lot of idle meeting, but at the end of the meeting, there's no resolution. And there must always be, at the end of the meeting, there must always be a resolution, be it resolved, that we shall march. And in politics, it's a lot of talk, but it's political action that brings changes. And an examination of the teaching of Lyndon Pinling. Pinling has taught that marching and demonstrations are necessary for political change. That's why I'm smarter than them. See, as educated as they are, they didn't study Pinling. And I studied Pinling while Pinling was in power. And in my study, I came across a document which quoted him as saying that, and that became my mantra. Marching is necessary for changes. And in all world history, you will see where there is mass protests.
Yeah. I mean, even going on today, I think it was a mass protest in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
These last 2 weeks.
Well, that is what I hope to do here in the Bahamas, because we have drafted a petition to the Queen. And in the next couple of days, we shall be soliciting signatures from members of the public. And then after they would have signed the petition, we will mobilize a march to Government House, asking the Governor General to forward the petition to Buckingham Palace.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, interject. We all know the passive nature of Bahamians. Do you think Bahamians fundamentally have the wherewithal like other countries to put everything on the line and,
Bahamians do, and if you examine our history objectively, you will find from as recent as 1942, the Burma Road riot, where the construction of the new airport was taking place. American workers were being paid more than Bahamian workers for the same work. And Bahamians rose up and they stepped on that rocky Burma Road.
Okay.
And when it was all over, some Bahamians were killed
Oh wow.
and changes began.
Well, people never like emphasize some people lost their lives.
I'm going to invite you to look for Randall Fox's book,
Okay.
The Fate That Moved the Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Probably need to check that out.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of our history is told by our parents, like, coming up. So where it's like, you feel like, okay, like the Burma Road riots happened in 1942.
Right.
And for me, that felt like an eon ago, even though that was recent history.
It is a long time when you take into consideration your age.
Yeah.
But by the time you reach my age, you will realize that it wasn't too long.
Yeah.
All these ages, like your age, and the fact that you can't concept the year you're born, when you reach my age, you'll be able to.
So, because what I often think, just over the years, even recently when there has been demonstrations within the last 5 to 7 years, I feel like in the Bahamian conscious, we just like to talk, make noise, and when something don't happen the way we want it out, we just be like, man, whatever, man, God can deal with it, blah, 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 blah. What you say to that?
Well, there is that belief, right, that we think like that, but we have seen where demonstrations that's been what word can I use? The staging ground to get rid of a government when Hubert Ingram sold BTC. In 2011, there was a great march and demonstration.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it culminated the year following of Ingram being defeated. We saw in 2012, Ranat Hanfield and that group of shysters, they staged a big march and demonstration, which helped to wreck the PLP, and the PLP lost. Now, one of the problems in the society is that we don't preach sufficiently the power of protest. All right? I'm out to prove that we can bring the administration down. But it calls for a revolutionary spirit of resistance. And Puerto Rico has demonstrated it to us.
Yeah.
And we're seeing almost a similar thing in Hong Kong, where millions of people are rising up. And if you remember the spring protests in Egypt, which showed culminating in a lot of changes in Egypt. So it's protests, but young people are required to be rebellious in a righteous manner.
But then now they doing it in a wrong
And
manner.
you'll find that this talk about victimization, I know a guy who told me in 78 or 79 that he couldn't march because he was getting married. Right? Well, I've been married 40 years. So, it's foolishness. Then the fellow telling me he was concerned about wealth. But I'm wealthier than him. So you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Just do what you have to do and don't worry about these things. Today I'm sleeping in the hammer, right? I even know I sleep in here. But I'm somewhere way up there on one floor. So the point that I make is do what you have to do.
Yeah, because I remember it was a conversation me and you had like 2 years ago where I was like, how do you keep on, like, with different setbacks, where people vandalizing your properties and burning down your homes and burning down your cars? How does that not sway you from continuing on this path to fight it, to fight the power, to fight for the freedoms of the people, to keep on pressing the issue of we need social reform and we need to come together against the powers that be to create the atmosphere of change?
Well, I'm a kind of man, if you put me in a cardboard house, I can be comfortable. I only trying to rebuild because
Yes, sir.
because I have wife. If I had no wife, I'd never build.
Mm-hmm. I feel that, you know.
Yeah. So those things really don't affect me. I only build in because you got a wife, faithful, put up with all these things. So you have a duty to make sure, particularly as you age, that you have a comfortable place for your wife, and by extension, if you have children, they have social problems, they have a place to anchor, and then I have grandchildren, so you would want a place if circumstances change in their life, they have a place to anchor. But outside of that, those things really don't affect me. The only thing I find interesting is that there are criminal suspects. In the case of my Jeep, notwithstanding that video evidence has shown 6 Negro men showing up and carrying out the explosive, and Marvin Dames telling me that it was the easy case to resolve. You're dealing with a bunch of gangsters. So nothing has happened. But it doesn't affect me, if you understand my point. And I've used over the years to insulate my wife to the extent that she matches with me, but she keeps a low profile. And essentially, it's because she's not a politician. I'm the politician.
Yeah.
If you see where I'm coming from. And one of the conditions that we agreed upon before marriage was that she would not interfere with my politics, and she has been consistent in not interfering, because that was one of the things I said to her. I said, now listen, we're going to be married, but I don't want you to try to change my political thinking. And she has agreed, and she's never done that. Yeah.
Because like what you told me, like I took that to heart. What you told me, like what once you have a resolve and you have a goal in mind, nothing can really shake you from that. Like you might go through the hills and valleys.
Yeah.
But like once your mind focus on
You
it,
have to have a philosophy.
Yeah, that's what you
right.
said.
Once you have a philosophy, then nothing can shake you. The people who are shaken are those who have no political philosophy. So you have to, first of all, start off from a principled position. And then once you have that, then whatever criminal activities is carried out against you, because you have a philosophy, it cannot be shaken. So I'm a man who cannot be shaken. So my office, they burned that down 6 times.
Wow.
My home, do well, my love, they fire, bomb it, but it only burned down my banana tree.
Oh.
And finally, they burned down the house. So, those things, it really didn't affect me. I mean, there was some emotional...
distress.
You can say that.
Yeah.
All right. But essentially, it didn't affect me because I can live anywhere. I can sleep anywhere. All right? And so that's it.
Well, yeah. So with that, we're about to take a quick break. On the next side of Erryting Kool, we're going to get into Mr. Moncur, not the political revolutionist, but the most popular talk show host in the Bahamas. And we're about to get into that on the next side of Erryting Kool. We'll be right back. So we're back. We had to get into the historical background, being a revolutionary. I feel like sometimes I be radical with the way I think about certain things or whatever. But then I feel like, people don't understand. But they probably understand later on when they be like, I see what he was saying. So, and I feel like, and I always tell people, like, I remember I started watching your show. Well, my father put me on to your show because I used to listen to you in the car when he used to pick me up from work. And then I was like, oh, this is how Rodney Moncur sounds. And then I remember one day I'd stay home from work. And then he was in the front room. And I was like, oh, he have a TV show now? So I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, I'm sold. To the point where if I had missed an episode in the evening, before I go to work, I'd watch an episode.
Wow.
And then, so, and I always tell people, well, they'd be like, oh, Rodney, be talking foolishness and other. I'm like, if you really listen to what he's saying, he really, dropping little information, but it ain't so blatant to where you readily understand it, but you got to know what exactly he's talking about. And then you like, So let's get into how you got into, broadcast, radio, and television. Because that was a surprise to me moving, coming back home from living abroad for a while. And then all of a sudden, the person that you know as the revolutionary, he's now on radio and he's doing a radio station show.
Well, I've been invited as guests on a number of radio shows over a period of time. But I think by 95, Global Radio, I think headed by Michelle White, they invited me to participate on a panel discussion. And from there, I moved on to the sports radio.
SESR.
Right. And afterward, I got a call in April of 2017 from Sabats, who had asked me, well, I think prior to April, maybe.
Yes, I think the show started like right before the elections.
Yeah.
So.
I think by March, he called me and invited me to appear on Bodie's show. And I appeared, and then by April, he invited me to a show. And I accepted the opportunity. And from there, it began. I think I began May 1st, 2017. Now, the position that I take is simply this. If I don't know what the facts are, don't make up the facts. Don't lie. Because your credibility is the only thing you have. Your word is the only thing you have. And you're living in an age where people can check the facts quickly. One of the advantages that I have is I'm speaking about issues that many people aren't aware that I was always present. So most things that happened in the last 36 years, I was there. So I can speak authoritatively. That is the advantage that I have over young people who are on set with my children, who don't know what I'm talking about, who don't know the history. And then when I was in their age group, I did research. So I decided, let me see what Finland did in 56, in the 60s. So I read up. So I knew then that on the 22nd of November, 1966, Clement Maynard was protesting outside the magistrate court. So 20 years later, 25 years later, if they raised the question, I was able to say to them, now, you're being hypocritical because you did this on such and such a date. The average, that's why I tell you I'm smarter than them. They don't research.
Yeah.
They're talking and they're talking nonsense. So when I speak authoritatively because I was leading the marches. I was instigating it, me and my allies. There were many things that the FNM did in the 80s. We instigated because by 77, when the FNM split, and I attempted to unite Whitfield and Henry Boswick, they had a shock. They couldn't believe that a grassroots man could come to them to tell them we needed unity. And when they couldn't understand, we then organized a party in 78 called the Workers' Party that we carried on, but still had little affiliation with the FNM, and when the FNM had a split with the late Norman Solomon. So you're dealing with a man that many people would not know what role I played.
He was always like a fly on the wall, just observing,
Or instigating and orchestrating and or leading.
like a puppet master.
Well, that's not a good word.
Well, yeah.
It's inspiring the movement.
Okay. And
So you wouldn't know that.
yeah.
You see where I'm coming from?
Have you ever
would-
thought about writing a book?
Yes, I have thought about it, and I've spoken to a man to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think no one does it better where you're bringing up historical facts and then connecting it with present day ongoings.
Yes.
And that's why I think, I'd be well informed. I know a lot of people probably watch this show for the comedic element, but it's
Okay.
like, that's why I'd say if you really understand and know what exactly you're talking about, you can understand, hey, he's saying some things what I had questions about, but he really confirmed it. But it's like, if you're not searching for that information, like you saying, people not doing the research,
Right.
that you ain't gonna know. You're gonna just think you just talking foolishness.
Right.
So like,
Right. And therefore, because I was there, I can embarrass the Attorney General. I can say to him, mine, I can tell them people how you ma take that chair to lick the woman at the FNM meeting. And then he goes silent because he knows that I'm speaking the truth. Now, how many people know that Attorney General mother pick up a chair to lick somebody? in the head?
only you would. 'Cause I don't think no one would be like this exact incident at this day at this time. Like,
So if you notice, there are things that I run on with, and I talk in a strange manner, but nobody bothers with me because they realize I'm waiting for them. Because I was there. That's the point I'm making. If you were participating, right? It's like how your generation, 20 years from now, you'll be able to tell people how much children he got, he ain't tell nobody about.
yeah.
If you see where I'm coming from, because you would know one another
From onset for over the years, and you
Yes,
see,
that's the
okay,
point.
I know you did X, Y,
Right.
and Z.
So I'm able to say to them, y'all stop that sexual harassment. Watch me. I'm the only person, because the women are coming to me. They ain't going to Sandra Dane. They're coming to me.
Interesting.
And so I said, you keep quiet, and I'll toy with them. So I touched them out for weeks, run on. This one ain't saying nothing. And then afterward, I produce a photograph. Yesterday, another one approached me saying she's being sexually harassed. So I asked them what they eating that got them so sexy. And see, there's nothing they can do because they know I got the person.
Okay. So is that the reason why you call yourself the woman, the leader of the woman?
Well, essentially.
How did that come about exactly?
Well, essentially, don't forget now, this whole talk about gender equality is a farce. But you have to be a big thinker to figure out what was going on. Hubert Ingram, when he first introduced the gender equality bill, was playing politics. When Perry Christie did it, it was a similar thing, and in their both cases, they were being pressed by the international community. So when you hear about gender equality, you have to sit back and ask yourself, now what do they mean when they say gender equality, right? It's a level of dishonesty. If you want gay marriage, say you want gay marriage. Just come right out and say what you want. Don't try to trick me. Because you play in my hand. There are certain issues that I love. So if you're talking about gender equality and woman right and man right and the right of the children, then you play in my hand. I do not accept that gender equality means that I must give her husband, a foreigner, citizenship. Now you may want to persuade me that perhaps I should do it. But don't tell me to make her equal Because I may tell you, I don't want him to have no citizenship.
But what about the other way around? Like you have a foreign woman and you be him.
Well, I didn't create the 1972, 73 Constitution, which makes provision for that. Finland did that. Now, you might say, well, that discriminates against women. And you might be right, but I married a Bahamian woman. So the hell with that. See how cool I could be? All right. And then when I look to see who's orchestrating it and the fact that at the level of dishonesty, then I resent it. At the UN, they have something called the CEDAW, something for the elimination of discrimination against women. So I quietly go to CEDAW website to see what they're saying. Only to discover that the things they're talking about is not applicable to the Bahamas.
That's in terms of what exactly?
For instance, in certain countries, you brown your woman on her buttocks.
Okay.
Right?
That's why.
Well, we don't brown women on their buttocks, do we?
No.
So in certain countries, they cut out the clitoris of the women. We haven't done that in 400 years of slavery. The last time we did that, we were in Africa. So that is not applicable to us. So what you talking about? So they now try to create something. Because don't forget what's going on. It's a bunch of educated people who meets with white people to eat biscuit, drink tea and cheese, and intellectualize. And then the white people say, see the Bahamian men there? They backward. They are ignorant. They don't want the woman to be free. But the worst mistake you could make is to call me ignorant. Because I will give you what you want and cut your political head off. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So all of those intellectual women, I know them. You follow? So since I know them, been in debate with them 40 years ago. Marion Bettel, me and her debated 40 years ago. And one night I said the wrong thing and she correct me all night. And every time I get up, I say the same thing. And she said, oh no, that ain't the way. And I did that all night. Right? So my point here is, when they then come up with these arguments, they ain't talking to me. They're talking to the weak man. And I decided I was opposing it.
Okay.
And I beat them. I saved the woman them. You forget the referendum of 2016?
Yeah.
That the PLP did. I beat them. Sean McQueen is the most brilliant man. He said they can provide me with financing. They didn't. Then I asked the public for financing, and people came and bought money. And when it was all over, I'm not taking sole credit because there were other groups that were in opposition. But from that radio station, the sports radio, we were able to wage a successful campaign culminating in the defeat of the referendum.
So that's where the song came from?
Which one?
Rodney Moncur.
Well, that is the national anthem of the woman then. And so I don't, unashamedly I say you must lead the woman them.
Okay.
Now, there are some women and some men who does not like my position, right?
Yeah.
But they're being emotional. They want me to accept their position. I'm not accepting their position, but they're free to push their position, and I can push mine. I am leader of the woman now. I took the woman from them. Don't forget now, I got the lawyers in the Attorney General office who's reporting to me. Why they ain't telling it to them? Huh?
Okay.
Woman needs a good leader. Isn't that right, Sister Kalma? Yeah.
I must say I'm a part of the woman down.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But by providing a woman with good leadership does not mean that you abuse the woman. Because don't forget, I'm the father of a daughter. I'm not advocating that. But there are certain issues which they wish to push upon us. And I've decided, let me just upset them.
Okay.
And I'm doing a good job. because they can't tolerate me. Because, I'm ignorant, I'm uneducated. And finally, now I got a radio show and a TV show where I can veil their backside every day.
That you do. So, what we talked about before we started was, did you think your show would become the national sensation that it is?
Yeah, in a way, but I had that kind of suppressed. But I always knew that, look, I understand my people, the Negro people. I understand them. So I know how to speak to my people. And I understand the young people. Do not forget that in the 80s, I closed down high school. So the young people of the 80s are no different from the young people of the 2000s. There's no younger. Young people are rebellious. And if you speak to young people in the right way, you provide them with the kind of respect that they're deserving, and you educate them. So I had an option in 83 to encourage C.C. Sweeting's students to burn down the school, because that's what they were threatening to do.
Okay.
And I said, no, man, we can't burn down the people's school. Let's march on Pindling and the PLP and make them fix it. And that is what we did. So I know how to speak to the people, and I speak from a cultural perspective. I don't try to straighten my grammar, because everybody who is Bahamian understand the way I speak. If you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it more like, you don't have this radio, but it feels like you being realer than real.
Yes.
And it's like, that's what's captivating the audience, and it's like, all right, I'm willing to support that, because I feel like if he talk like that on TV, I feel like I am going to have a similar conversation just sitting right across from him.
Yeah, you speak where everybody can understand. So why say men when we really don't speak that way? I use the plural marker, them. You know what them is, right? Them is more than one, right? So man, them.
I feel
Woman, them. Children, them.
And
The people, them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you get hung up over who thinks that you are speaking English incorrectly, I smarter than them, because how many of them could say something in nation Creole? As smart as they are. Tout le monde haïtien. Comment ye?
So I had to often think, like, because me being, heavy in media, I'm always, when I consume content, I'm always analyzing to understand what makes this work. So, like, you add in the Haitian Creole element, and then you add in the politics, and then you have, when you go in a trance, and then you playing the music.
Right.
And like, adding all them elements, and I'm like, people can't, I think it's all part of genius, because it's like, you can't come up with this stuff, execute it, and then every week there's some viral video going out to where it's spreading, and then people see it, and then more people want to come watch the show, because then they want to be the first to see something happen again. So it's like, it's a level of genius that comes with that.
Well, my maternal grandmother and my mother, they were born in Exuma. So there are many stories that I've been told. For instance, my late maternal grandmother, Evelyn Clark Cox, her great-grand-uncle, according to my grandmother, used to travel to Africa and continue to speak an African dialect. And in his old age, when her mom, who took care of him, wanted him to take a bath, and he refused. And she insisted that he goes in tub so she can bathe him up. He cursed us out by telling her, "Gone, you're nothing but a picky teeth man, Toby. You're nothing but a frying pan." Now, the rest of my grandmother's grandchildren may have forgotten what she said, but I lived with her. So I knew all of those obscenities. And I also knew stories of people in Exuma going into a trance. You see? And so it dawned on me on a couple occasions on the show that I needed to go into a trance.
Okay.
And there are many days you may see me. Don't mind, I look normal. I'm not on the earth. I'm in a transitory mood. Right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
So you picked the jungle music too, or that's just something that?
I would say to him, either find me a good Junkanoo music. Sometime I might volunteer it. And many times he, figuring out the cultural mood that I'm in, he picks the right one for me.
Oh man, because like every time I
Yeah. So I try to sprinkle the show with little cultural talks, and in many instances, I'm appealing to the older people, because you will find that I have a large following among older people, because I take them into transitory modes.
I think no, but like I was telling you earlier, like I don't know if you still. Because I remember you used to have you still on Twitter?
If I'm on?
Twitter.
Yes.
So like on Twitter, like videos, like that's where I be seeing a lot of the different videos popping up, like know, because people would either use it in a memeable fashion. So like with the millennials that use Twitter, like you big on there too, because everybody always looking for a moment to have some laughter or apply something that everybody know to this moment.
Do you see the videos on the little clips?
Every now and then, I have a friend named Ras De Niro Thompson. He would draw it to my attention. Sometimes the spiritual advisor, he does. Yeah.
Are you surprised to see that this went viral, or they put this and put that there?
I was not aware of what was taking place. And then afterwards, it became a surprise to me. I began to pick up when I start going public places. And then it dawned on me that something was happening that I was unaware of. Because sometimes, you can be kind of isolated and not checking up sufficiently on social media. And these more recent times, I wasn't too pleased with Facebook and this complaint and next complaint, so I've not been using it that much, even though they're now trying to get me to use it more.
Yeah, because like probably a recent one is like what my coworkers keep on dying about when you was like key, and if it wasn't a sin, I'd tell you key your mom, like stuff like that or whatever. Like like it's like how I missed the episode, and I think it was like one episode where he was like, "Give me the music," like recently. However, I remember watching that episode, so. Like, I could watch the episodes now and be like, all right, someone can cut this part and send it up.
Going to do next.
Yeah, like, but it's like, I think that's part of the anticipation of the show. And, that's what makes it enjoyable. That's like, I was telling them is I actually put her onto the show. Because she used to call me and be like, okay, this, that, and that. And I'm like, yo, you need to watch this show. And she's like, well, I know, and this and that. I say, wait, if you watch the show, you're going to die laughing. Like, it's going to be hilarious. And then she watched the episode, and then it was like, okay, you were right.
Yeah, I think in politics and for a lot of talk show hosts, they take themselves too seriously. And you have to learn as young people that you have to laugh at yourself. And do not be upset when others are laughing at you. So I think I've learned how to laugh at myself. And then I also recognize that politics, and particularly if you're a talk show host, there has to be some level of entertainment as opposed to how people there just tense and so forth, right? There has to be entertainment while providing credible information. And like Hubert Ingram tells me when he asks me to be his spokesman, which I jumped to be because I just love talking in his name and upsetting ministers, right? He says, listen, you can talk even when I didn't tell you, subject to one condition: do not tell a lie, which is important in journalism. And I'm not a journalist, I play
journalists.
Yeah. You see?
Yeah.
And that's my way of mocking them.
But yeah, but I think probably a bigger marker is like them videos. You know, I just remember another video, like, you know, when you were saying you was hiding from menace, like plenty of people be like, when they trying to get away from it, they play that same clip, I am hiding. I'm
On
hiding.
Facebook too.
Pardon?
I think he went live on Facebook too
Yeah.
when he was in hiding. I
Yeah.
remember.
so it's almost like, you know, you almost, I mean, because we live in this age where we have Bahamian socialites now, but it's like, you're the oldest one.
Okay.
Or whatever. But it's like, you know, so everything you do is like, it's memeable, or everybody, like you say, kiki, kiki, kiki. Like, you know, that's really the undertone for it. But, you know, but yeah, that's why I was like, after that conversation 2 years ago, I always wanted an opportunity to, like, you know, sit down with you and, like, you know, get the whole backstory of how you go about things from the political side to the broadcast side, you know. Because I always like to understand how things work. And, like, you know, my desire for knowledge always leads me on that path to try to figure it out.
Well, it's always important to have a good appreciation of the history of your country, even that history that people think you should not know. It's important to know that, according to historian Christopher Columbus, discovered the Bahamas on the 12th of October, 1492, notwithstanding that there's this new argument that he could not have discovered it because there were people here. You still need to know that. You need to know as much of the history, because it gives you a better appreciation from where the country came from to where it is. So if you are armed with that history, if you are armed with the modern Bahamas history, you then get to understand the Brent Simonet. You get to know that Brent Simonet father, who was the first Negro premier of the Bahamas, that every year he put in the country's budget work for himself. And so Brent has inherited that. And so hence we have this situation where this controversy is taking place over the fact that this major conflict of interest, Menace thinks there's none. And he thinks there's none because for 5 years, when he became Minister of Health between 2007 and 2012, he had a contract for his clinic, Start Care, which he got in 2002 under the PLP. But he was qualified to get it because he was not a member of the parliament. But 5 years later, Ingram appoints him Minister of Health, and he could not see that something was wrong for him to be maintaining a contract as Minister of Health with himself. You follow my point?
Yeah.
And that continued from 2002 right up to 2017 when he became Prime Minister, and shortly thereafter, Dr. Dwayne Sands announced that he had discontinued it. And when people criticized him, he suggested that his company was separate from him, even though the company was owned by him and his wife. All right? So this is a case where in other societies, he would have been forced to resign. But you're dealing with a bunch of Negroes who don't understand the system, don't have no respect for themselves, and then you're dealing with a youthful population who seems not to realize that they have a duty to defend the country by writing on social media, writing letters, and organizing peaceful protests against those things. And the best time to do it is while you are young.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think this was a good episode. Carson Neeg was thoroughly entertained. I hope you all, you know, reconciled.
I think we reconciled. I think we reconciled.
You
Yes, the Culmers.
the Culmers.
Yes, the Culmers.
The chairman is not good. Carl Culmer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, you can press it again. All right. So, on that note, we would like to thank Mr. Moncur for joining us on another episode of Erryting Kool. Carsony, thank you for joining me. And we want to thank all our people that allowed us to make this podcast possible, as well as, Sora Lace Productions. Miss Wright's still in the building, so shout out to Coffee Cafe. I'm telling you, if you need, that spruce in the morning, they do a very interesting thing, combining the coffee bean with the tea leaf. Coffee Cafe, Farrington Road. And on that note,
well, let me thank you for the invitation, and let me apologize for Saturday of last week. So I thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. And I thank the team.
All right. So we'll catch y'all another time. See you later.